Paris Jackson, Michael Jackson's daughter, is raising concerns about irregular payments made by her late father's estate.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel where we dive deep into the untold stories of the world's biggest celebrities, their triumphs, their tragedies, and the secrets that shape their legacies. If you're new here, make sure to smash that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications so you never miss out on these exclusive breakdowns. Today, we're peeling back the layers on one of the most intriguing family dramas in Hollywood history, Paris Jackson, the daughter of the legendary king of pop, Michael Jackson, stepping into the spotlight with explosive claims about her father's massive estate. Imagine inheriting a fortune built on moonwalks and thriller beats, only to uncover payments that don't add up, payments that could be siphoning off millions from what should be a rock-solid legacy. This isn't just about money, it's about trust, betrayal, and the shadowy side of fame. Stick around because we're going all in on the details that have the entertainment world buzzing, and by the end, you'll be questioning everything you thought you knew about Michael Jackson's empire. Let's jump right in. Paris Jackson has always been more than just Michael Jackson's daughter. She's a force in her own right, navigating the glare of the public eye while forging her path in music, modeling, and activism. But recently, at 27 years old, she's made headlines for something far more personal and contentious, breaking her silence on the management of her late father's estate in a way that's sending ripples through legal circles and beyond. No one expected this. Paris, who's often spoken fondly of her dad's influence on her life, now filing court documents that challenge the very people entrusted with preserving his billions. It's a move that's left fans, experts, and even family members puzzled, raising questions that echo back to Michael's untimely death in 2009. Paris herself has admitted in past interviews that explanations for the estate's inner workings have been scarce. "We never really got an explanation," she said, "and I mean, we didn't really ask a lot." But now, she's asking and demanding answers. What she's uncovered isn't just a minor glitch, it's a pattern of irregular payments that have been quietly flowing for years, hidden behind the facade of one of the most successful posthumous careers in history. If this story has you hooked already, drop a like below and let me know in the comments. Do you think Paris is right to speak out? Your thoughts keep this community alive. Subscribe if you haven't yet for more insider scoops like this. To understand the storm Paris is stirring, we have to go back to the billion-dollar mystery that started it all. When Michael Jackson passed away on June 25, 2009, the world lost an icon, but his family faced a financial nightmare. At the time, the king of pop was buried under nearly $500 million in debt, a staggering sum accumulated from lavish spending, legal battles, and the upkeep of his sprawling Neverland ranch, which was teetering on the edge of foreclosure. His career, once untouchable, had been tarnished by controversies and trials, leaving creditors knocking and the Jackson family staring down the barrel of potential ruin. Experts predicted years of bankruptcy proceedings, asset liquidations, and family infighting. It seemed like the end of an era, with Michael's legacy at risk of being auctioned off piece by piece. But then, something miraculous, or calculated, depending on who you ask, happened. In the years following his death, the Michael Jackson estate didn't just survive, it exploded into a multi-billion-dollar powerhouse, now valued at over $2 billion, with some estimates pushing it toward $2.5 billion or higher. How did this happen? Paris herself has marveled at it, noting in interviews that her father was generating more money as a dead man than as a living, breathing performer. It's a turnaround that's become a case study in business schools, a masterclass in turning liabilities into gold mines. The architects of this resurrection were Johns Branca and McLean, the estate's executors. Branca, Michael's longtime attorney who knew the ins and outs of his music catalog like the back of his hand, and McLean, a seasoned music exec with a knack for navigating the cutthroat entertainment industry. They didn't waste time mourning. They got to work, crafting a strategy that milked every ounce of value from Michael's intellectual property. Music royalties were the bedrock. Streaming platforms like Spotify and Apple Music made classics like Billie Jean and Beat It accessible to new generations, raking in millions annually. But they went further. Posthumous albums like Michael in 2010 and Escape in 2014 kept his sound fresh, debuting at the top of charts worldwide. Merchandising exploded, Everything from t-shirts emblazoned with his silhouette to limited edition vinyls and even Michael-branded perfumes flooded markets globally, generating hundreds of millions. Then there were the big-ticket deals that really supercharged the estate. In 2016, they orchestrated the sale of Michael's 50% stake in the Sony/ATV music publishing catalog, a powerhouse that owned rights to Beatles songs and more, for a whopping $750 million to Sony. That single transaction wiped out debts and padded the coffers like never before. Not stopping there, they partnered with Cirque du Soleil for Michael Jackson 1, a Las Vegas spectacle that's been running since 2013, blending acrobatics with hits like Thriller and drawing over 1 million visitors yearly, pulling in tens of millions in ticket sales alone. The Broadway musical MJ, which premiered in 2022, brought his life story to the stage, earning rave reviews and box office gold while reigniting interest in his catalog. Licensing agreements for movies, commercials, video games, even a Michael Jackson slot machine in casinos, added layers of revenue. Documentaries, though controversial, like the estate-backed ones countering negative narratives, brought in fees and boosted streams. Brand partnerships with companies like Pepsi, reviving old ties, and fashion lines inspired by his iconic outfits kept the money flowing. In 2016 alone, the estate earned $825 million, the highest annual amount for any celebrity, living or dead, according to Forbes. Financial analysts who once wrote off the estate as a cautionary tale now study it as a blueprint for posthumous wealth management. But amid this success, Paris grew up watching from the sidelines, and as she entered adulthood, she started asking the tough questions. If you're fascinated by how icons like Michael turn into eternal money machines, hit that like button and subscribe. We've got more stories like this coming your way. Paris Jackson's journey to this moment is a story in itself, one that adds emotional depth to her legal challenge. Born on April 3, 1998, in Beverly Hills, California, Paris Michael Catherine Jackson was thrust into a world of fame from day one as the second child and only daughter of Michael Jackson and his then-wife, nurse Debbie Rowe. Her early years were shrouded in mystery. Michael famously masked his kids' faces in public to shield them from paparazzi, raising them in a bubble of luxury at Neverland, complete with amusement parks and exotic animals. But tragedy struck when she was just 11. Michael's sudden death from a propofol overdose left her and her siblings, Prince and Blanket, now BG, orphaned and under the guardianship of their grandmother, Catherine Jackson. The public first saw Paris's raw grief at Michael's memorial, where she tearfully declared, "Ever since I was born, Daddy has been the best father you could ever imagine." It was a moment that humanized the Jackson family amid the chaos. Growing up in the shadow of her father's legend wasn't easy. Paris struggled with identity, mental health, and the relentless media scrutiny. She's been open about her battles, multiple suicide attempts in her teens, including a serious one in 2013 that led to hospitalization, stemming from depression, self-harm, and the pressure of living up to Michael's name. She attended therapeutic boarding schools, found solace in tattoos, over 80 now, many honoring her dad, and explored her sexuality, identifying as bisexual. By her late teens, Paris pivoted to building her own career. She signed with IMG Models in 2017, gracing covers of Vogue and Harper's Bazaar, and walking runways for brands like Calvin Klein. Acting followed, roles in films like Gringo, 2018, with Charlize Theron, The Space Between, 2021, and TV spots on American Horror Stories. But music is in her blood. She released her debut album, Wilted, in 2020 under Republic Records, a folk indie blend drawing from influences like Nirvana and her dad's emotional depth. Singles like Let Down and collaborations with artists like Manchester Orchestra showcased her raw, vulnerable style. In 2023, she dropped more tracks offstage, touring small venues and building a fan base advocating for mental health awareness, environmental causes, and indigenous rights through her work with organizations like the Elizabeth Taylor AIDS Foundation. Her godmother was Liz Taylor. She's distanced herself from the upcoming biopic, Michael, set for release in 2025, starring her cousin Jaffer Jackson, saying she wants no part in retelling her dad's story amid ongoing controversies. Her net worth, around $150 million, comes partly from the estate but also her ventures, including a Soundflowers band stint and endorsements. Yet, as one of Michael's three heirs entitled to 40% of the estate, another 40% to Catherine, passing to them upon her death at 95, and 20% to charities, Paris has a vested interest. Michael's will, drafted in 2002, emphasized philanthropy and family protection, but it also created complexities. As Paris matured, she gained access to financial details, and what she found, those irregular payments, sparked her investigation. This isn't just business, it's personal. She's honoring her dad's values by demanding accountability. If Paris's resilience inspires you, like this video and subscribe for more on celebrities overcoming odds. Your support means the world. Now, let's dive into the heart of the controversy, the hidden payments that have surfaced, painting a picture of shadowy dealings behind the estate's glossy success. On June 24, 2024, Paris filed court documents that pulled back the curtain on practices that had been operating in the dark for over a decade. This was no minor complaint. It was the first formal challenge from a beneficiary to the estate's handling of attorney fees, breaking a long silence. At the core are what Paris calls premium payments, extraordinary sums handed to law firms beyond standard billing, described as compensation for uncaptured time, meaning work allegedly done but never logged or invoiced properly. In a 6-month span in 2018 alone, the executors sought court approval for $625,000 to 3 firms, but these weren't tied to specific hours or tasks. In legal worlds, especially probate where every penny is scrutinized to protect heirs, this is unusual. Attorneys typically keep meticulous records, billable hours down to the minute, for audits and justification. Uncaptured time opens a Pandora's box. How do you verify it? What's stopping endless claims? Paris's legal team didn't mince words, calling these lavish gratuities to already handsomely paid counsel, language that's bold for court filings, signaling strong evidence. Gratuities implies gifts, not earned pay, potentially breaching fiduciary duty, where executors must prioritize beneficiaries over personal or professional perks. Worse, 2 firms got full payments before court approval, flouting rules that allow only partial payouts pending review. Probate courts exist to safeguard against this exact mismanagement, requiring oversight for major expenses to ensure transparency. If rules were bent here, what else has slipped through? Paris's filing questions if this is isolated or part of a 15-year pattern. With billions generated, legal fees could total hundreds of millions. Think negotiations for the Sony/ATV sale, Cirque du Soleil contracts, Broadway deals, tax battles with the IRS, including a 9-figure penalty dispute over estate valuation. If uncaptured payouts were routine, the cumulative drain on heirs' shares could be massive. Experts say this sets a dangerous precedent. Estates like this should be fortresses of accountability, not ATMs for lawyers. Adding fuel, recent reports from 2025 reveal Paris accusing a close-knit group of lawyers of skimming money, exploiting oversight gaps. She's demanding a full schedule of approvals, probing if executors benefited indirectly, perhaps through reciprocal favors or inflated fees padding their networks. This isn't paranoia. Celebrity estates like Prince's or Aretha Franklin's have seen similar chaos from poor documentation. Paris's move highlights a system where success masks potential abuse. If you're outraged by this lack of transparency, smash that like and subscribe. We uncover these hidden truths so you don't have to. Comment below, should estates require stricter audits? The estate didn't sit idle. They fought back hard, revealing the high stakes in this brewing feud. Through attorney Jonathan Steinsapir, they issued a pointed response, defending their track record and painting Paris's claims as misguided. We've generated over $3 billion since 2009, they boast, crediting aggressive legal strategies for deals like the $287.5 million EMI stake sale and ongoing revenue from Michael Jackson 1. They argue these premium payments are consistent with a decade of court-approved practices, part of the business judgment that turned debt into fortune. But this raises red flags. If it's been happening for years, why challenge now? Paris, at 27, is more financially savvy, perhaps recently uncovering details amid the IRS tax fight or other triggers. The estate emphasizes court approvals, but did judges get the full picture? Were uncaptured claims clearly flagged? Steinsaper's firm has handled scores of MJ issues, even bragging about defeating family challenges, odd for an estate meant to benefit them. The response sidesteps key accusations: pre-approval payments, undocumented work verification, beneficiary transparency. Paris had to investigate. If transparent, why the secrecy? A hearing looms, potentially imposing new oversight, curbing payouts, or reshaping operations. Success doesn't excuse excess. Could the same billions have grown without lavish fees? This battle tests professional versus family control. If this drama has you on edge, like and subscribe for updates. Your engagement keeps us going. This conflict spotlights deeper family legacy tensions under scrutiny. Michaels will deliberately choose professionals over family, wary of disputes like those in Elvis's or James Brown's estates. Wise for business, Branca and McLean's expertise built an empire, but it breeds resentment. Paris, Prince, and BG watched outsiders decide their fate, with limited say despite eventual 80% control. At 27, Paris, musician, model, advocate, is asserting herself, protecting her inheritance and dad's philanthropic vision. Fiduciary duty demands loyalty. If fees benefit execs more, it's a breach. Stakes? Millions per percentage point in a $2 billion plus pot. But it's beyond cash, honoring Michael's child-helping ethos. Catherine's support for execs shifts as she ages. Paris seeks involvement. Comment: family or pros for estates? Like and subscribe. Digging deeper, the mysterious numbers reveal complexities. From $500 million debt, loans, settlements, Neverland costs, to billions via royalties, $750 million Sony sale, merchandising, Broadway, Cirque. But legal fees mount. Specialized attorneys at $1,000 plus per hour for IP, international deals. Undocumented pay questions duty. Rumors swirl. Did execs know Michael was worth more dead, letting him spiral for post-death control and gratuities? Paris might seek this truth. What do you think? Comment below. Like, subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you next time.